She hadn't eaten in days, her mate gone, her village burned, her people scattered like ash in the storm. Wrapped in rags and silence, she curled behind a rusted structure, waiting for death to take her gently. But then footsteps. A human, scarred and weary, knelt before her. He didn't flinch at the smell, didn't mock her filth. Instead, he handed her food. Real food. Warmth spread through her numb fingers, not from the bread, but from something far rarer on her world, kindness. And that moment changed everything. She didn't know what made her say it. Maybe it was the fire's warmth or the way his hands never fidgeted or wandered like others had. Maybe it was the way he listened when she spoke, really listened, with his whole body still, like her voice was the only sound that mattered. But she found herself whispering, "I had dreams once." He didn't interrupt. Didn't encourage with empty flattery. He simply nodded, waiting. I was going to build machines that floated, no fuel, no anchor. Clean air propulsion through resonance frequencies. My mate believed in it. Said it would change things. Her voice cracked, but not from grief. From memory. We built the first prototype together, before the permits got revoked, before the blockades. Elias tilted his head. Still have the schematics? She smiled bitterly. Buried with him. Like everything else. He leaned forward slightly, elbows on knees. You could draw it again. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then what? Sell it to Core, who blacklisted my species? Trade it for ration cubes? No, he said, voice steady. Build it for yourself. Because it still matters. That stopped her. The fire snapped softly between them, its light casting deep shadows across his features. He meant it, no hidden motive, no angle. Just a man who'd seen too much and still chose to believe. She whispered, "Why are you like this?" He chuckled softly. Because I saw what the world becomes when people aren't. Days bled into weeks. Slowly, Arani's skin began to heal, rough patches flaked away, burns faded, strength returned. Her limbs didn't tremble as much. Her speech, once hoarse, gained rhythm again. She began sketching, on spare canvas, on data slates he salvaged, even on the hovercart's walls. Her old ideas surged forward like fire catching dry kindling. Elias helped where he could, cutting metal, welding brackets, testing weight ratios with her. You've got the brain of 10 engineers, he said once. She flushed, unused to praise. And the body of someone who needs more soup, he added with a smirk, ladling another portion into her bowl. It became routine, meals shared, evenings spent planning, nights where she stared at the stars and felt something crack open again. One night she asked him, "If I left, would you come with me?" He didn't answer right away. Stirred the fire, watched the embers dance. "If you're going somewhere that matters, I will. And if I don't know where I'm going? Then I'll walk beside you until you do." It wasn't romantic, not yet. It was deeper. Trust forged from silence, shared pain, and the deliberate absence of pressure. One afternoon, while repairing the last stabilizer on the hovercart, she paused and looked up at him. "You gave me your last meal that day, didn't you?" He wiped sweat from his brow, not meeting her eyes. "Didn't think I'd need it more than you. You could have died. So could you." She looked at him for a long moment, really looked. And for the first time, allowed herself to imagine a future where someone might choose her without obligation, without shame. That night, she asked him to sit beside her instead of outside. Not in invitation. Just closer. Warmer. He did. No questions. No assumptions. She slept better than she had in years. The next morning, she gave him the first draft of her new schematic, hand-drawn, imperfect, brilliant. "This time," she said, "it'll fly." He studied the drawing with awe. "Then we'd better build it." They would. Together. Because kindness didn't just feed the body. It rebuilt the soul, one quiet choice at a time. She turned and walked back to the fire, as if gravity itself had shifted and she needed a moment to feel the ground again. Elias followed, rubbing the back of his neck, still grinning like a boy who'd just seen his first starship take flight. "That thing could revolutionize half the outposts," he said, watching her lower herself onto the crate they'd turned into a bench. "You're sitting on the first non-combustion liftcraft built on this moon." She gave him a tired smile. Maybe the only one built by someone who still smells like boiled soup and solder burns. "It's a good smell," he muttered. She looked at him, really looked. Not with disbelief or fear, not with hunger or need, but with the kind of gaze that settled in a person's chest and refused to leave. He didn't look away. Not this time. "Elias," she said softly, "why haven't you ever asked for anything?" Because I got what I needed the day you lived.
Her breath caught.
I was nothing that day, starving, broken. You were human enough to still sing to the wind, he said, stepping closer. You were alien and grieving and still reached out. That's not nothing.
She looked down at her hands.
I keep expecting you to change your mind. To see me how others did. Then you haven't really seen how I see you, he said, crouching beside her. I see a builder.
A mother. A survivor.
And someone who gave the universe one more miracle today. Her fingers brushed his. It wasn't passion, it was permission. The cold didn't seem so cold after that. In the days that followed, they expanded the machine, reinforced its framework, and even added a second seat.
For co-pilots, he joked. For balance, she corrected.
Together, they scavenged parts from the nearby wrecks, abandoned drones, stripped hoverbikes, old mining gear. Each day she taught him more of her calculations, magnetic phasing curves, counter-oscillation limits. And each night he told her old Earth tales, of deserts and rivers, of cities where people built towers just to touch the stars. You think people back there would believe what we're doing out here? She asked one night. I think they need to, he answered. But peace never lasted on that moon. They found the first scout drone the next morning, hovering at the edge of the ridge, its camera lens whirring, its signal blinking. That's Mercnet tech, Elias muttered.
Private corporate? She asked.
The kind that sues you for breathing wrong.
They found us.
They found you, he corrected. They don't know I'm here. Yet.
She frowned.
We can't risk them taking the machine.
No, he said.
And we can't risk them taking you. For the first time in weeks, her old fear crept back in. But this time, she wasn't alone. They disassembled the liftcraft overnight, carefully marking every part, hiding components beneath floorboards and false crates. The schematic was rewritten in code only she could read. By dawn, there was no sign anything had ever floated. The drone came back the next day, lower, closer, its lens focused on her as she stacked broken crates outside. Elias stayed out of sight, rifle loaded but hidden beneath tarp. It knows I'm not from here, she whispered. Then we make sure it thinks you're not worth chasing. But Mercnet didn't care about worth, they cared about control. The patrols arrived 3 days later. 3 men in black armor and filtered masks.
One held a datapad.
One carried a scanner. The last one just watched.
Resident name, the first barked.
Elias Brand, he answered calmly. Registered salvager, ID 6749J. Any cohabitants?
No, he lied.
Just me and ghosts. The second man circled, scanning the wrecks, the ground, even the fire pit.
Power signatures recent, he muttered. Too clean.
I keep things tidy, Elias said with a small smile. Don't like ash in my stew. The third man finally spoke. No one lives on this rock voluntarily. What are you hiding? Just a reason to keep living.
The men didn't laugh.
But they didn't find her either. She'd buried herself beneath the cargo bed, between spare batteries and thermal blankets. She didn't breathe until the engines faded into the distance.
That night, she didn't sleep. They'll come back, she said. Next time with dogs. Or worse.
Then we won't be here. They worked without rest for 2 days. Reassembled the liftcraft by memory and instinct. The welds weren't pretty, but they held. She recalibrated the oscillators, tuned the dampeners, replaced 2 broken gyro relays with repurposed parts from an old weather drone. Elias packed the bare essentials, water, dried protein, her schematic slate. They left the fire burning. Left his name carved into the crate. Just in case someone good came looking. The craft lifted at dawn, smoother this time, its hum more even.
She piloted.
He sat beside her, clutching a rusted old thermos and watching the horizon for black armor.
Where to? She asked.
Where they won't follow, he replied. And where you can build without hiding. They didn't know the name of the region. Just coordinates from an old miner's map. Deep canyons, mineral winds, unstable magnetic fields, places no drone could track, no patrol could enter without crashing.
It took hours.
The craft strained, altitude wobbling with every gust.
But it held. She held.
When they finally touched down in a narrow basin of red stone and low sky, she laughed. Loud and free. I can't believe it worked, she gasped. I can't believe you believed it would. I believed in you, he said. They made camp in the cliffs. Not out of fear this time, but peace. The wind sang through stone arches like music.
No one followed.
No signal pinged.
They were alone, But not lost. She built again. Not just machines, tools, shelters, new prototypes.
The second liftcraft was half the size, 3 times more efficient. "That one's for you," she said, handing him the pilot controls. "I'm not half the engineer you are."
"No," she smiled.
"But you never crash what you care about."
Weeks passed.
Seasons tried to change, but the canyon kept its cool. Her skin healed fully now, stronger, marked with new purpose.
Her voice never trembled.
Her eyes no longer darted at every sound. One night, as they lay beneath the stars, he asked softly, "Would you go back, if things were safe?" She didn't answer for a long time. Then, "I think home isn't where you're born. It's where someone chooses to stay."
He turned his head.
"And where is that for you now?" She reached for his hand, slid her fingers between his. "Right here." He kissed her, not like a claim, not like a savior. Just a man who had waited until she could choose him freely. They didn't need promises after that.
Only progress. One build at a time.
She taught him resonance welding. He taught her how to cook with real flavor.
She laughed more. He slept better.
Together, they became something rare, 2 broken pieces that didn't just fit, but fused. And then, one morning, a faint beeping echoed from the liftcraft's console. A distress signal, alien frequency. Coordinates near the old wreck fields.
She looked at him.
"It might be a trap. It might be someone like you once were."
She nodded. "Then we go."
They left within the hour.
No armor.
No weapons beyond a utility knife and fire extinguisher. Just 2 people who remembered what it meant to be forgotten. When they arrived, the signal source was buried beneath frost, another escape pod, cracked open, smoke rising. Inside, a girl no older than her own lost child once was. Alien, trembling, skin mottled with exposure. She looked up, eyes wide with terror, until Arani knelt and whispered, "It's okay. You're safe now." The girl didn't respond at first, just clung to her. Elias watched, quiet, his hand on Arani's shoulder. "What's your name?" she asked softly. The girl rasped something broken, unintelligible.
"Doesn't matter," Arani said.
"We'll give you a new one." She wrapped the child in a thermal blanket. The same one Elias had wrapped around her all those months ago. And when they flew back, the craft carrying all 3, Arani whispered, "She'll build 2.
One day." Elias nodded.
With the right hands guiding her. Arani smiled, not bitter, not guarded. Just open. Whole. In the canyon, the wind sang again. This time, not as mourning, but celebration. Because survival was never just staying alive. It was finding someone who looked past the ash, the scars, the hunger, and said, "You're worth everything I have." And then proved it.